Good morning, children.
Good morning, ma'am.
We learned about double fertilization in the previous class. Can you name those two fusions included under double fertilization? How do you name those two fusions? Meghna, what are the two fusions included under double fertilization?
Syngamy and triple fusion.
Triple fusion, good. Syngamy and triple fusion. And once fertilization is completed, the ovary will change into fruit and ovule will become seed. And all the other parts, petal, sepal, stamen, all those will get dried or they will shrivel and fall off. The petals, sepal, stamen, style, stigma shrivel and fall off. The ovule will develop a tough coat around it and transforms into the seed, and the ovary becomes a fruit. And inside the seed, there will be the future plant or the embryo. The zygote will develop into embryo. Embryo will develop into seedling under suitable conditions. So germination of the seed to form a seedling is known as germination. Ovary grows rapidly and ripens to form a fruit. The ovary will grow and develop into the fruit once fertilization is completed. And children, there are many diagrams which you should copy to your notebook. This is also an important diagram which you have to copy it down. Sometimes you will be asked to draw the structure of a seed and label the part. Seems to be very simple, but this is important diagram. A seed contains embryo, reserve food, and it is enclosed by a seed coat. You can see the seed coat covering the seed. Then there will be stored food. The cotyledons contain stored food and it has got an embryo. The reserve food is stored in cotyledons. So in the picture you can see the cotyledons. Reserve food is stored in the cotyledons. They supply food. The stored food will be utilized by the embryo when they need it. When they are germinating, they need energy. So they will utilize the food stored in cotyledons. And the embryo is having two pointed parts, as you can see in the picture. There is an upper pointed part and a lower part which is pointed. Upper pointed part and lower pointed region. So upper part you call it as plumule. Upper part is known as plumule. So the embryo is having a pointed part at the top that is known as plumule. Plumule is also known as future shoot. Shoot means stem. It will develop into the shoot or stem of the plant. Whereas on the lower part, there is a portion known as radicle, not radical, it is radicle. Radicle, R for radicle, R for root. This is the future root. It will develop into the root system. So once again, a seed has got an embryo, reserve food, and a protective covering known as seed coat. Seed coat is meant for providing protection. Then the stored food is present in the cotyledons. The number of cotyledons, here you can see 2 cotyledons. Gram seeds and all, 2 cotyledons, whereas rice, wheat, they have only 1 cotyledon. So you call them as monocotyledons. In 9th standard, you had learned when 2 cotyledons are there, you call it as dicotyledons. So here what you are seeing is a structure of a dicotyledonous seed or a dicot seed. And it is having an embryo. Stored food is there in the cotyledons and there is a seed coat to protect it. The reserve food is stored in the cotyledons and the reserve food will provide nourishment to the embryo when it is germinating. So at the time of germination, embryo gets food from this from these cotyledons. And there is plumule. The embryo consists of upper part known as plumule, which will develop into the shoot system. So plumule is known as future shoot. Similarly, the lower portion we can see radicle. Radicle is future root. it will develop into the root system of the plant. Okay, can I proceed?
Can you show the last slide?
Yes, Adidev?
Last slide.
Last slide. The same thing we had seen last class too.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So with that, we have completed sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Now we need to learn about the sexual reproduction taking place in human beings. So before that, it is important to know what is meant by puberty. In class 8, you had learned about puberty in the chapter reaching the age of adolescence. Human beings are complex animals and they have a distinct phase in their life cycle which marks the onset or attainment of sexual maturity, and that period is known as puberty. So there is a particular phase in the life cycle which marks the beginning of sexual maturity, and that period in our life is known as puberty. And this will connect, or you call it as an adolescent age. It's a bridge between childhood and adulthood. So this particular phase of puberty stage, it marks the onset or attainment of sexual maturity, and your body undergoes several changes to mark the beginning of sexual maturity. Okay? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Changes taking place in boys at the time of puberty. They suddenly grow in height, sudden increase in height. Their voice starts to crack, the voice changes. So that you might have experienced, a childish voice will change into a little more masculine voice. So voice begins to crack and the Adam's apple becomes prominent. The Adam's apple there in your throat region, you have learned what is Adam's apple. The voice box will be projected outwards, unlike in the case of females, and that is known as Adam's apple. That becomes more prominent. The shoulders become broader, body becomes muscular, facial hair, mustache, beard, all that starts to grow, and hair starts to grow under the armpit and also in the pubic region. Pubic region is the private part. There also there'll be growth of hair. So these are a few changes taking place in boys at the time of puberty. Increase in height, cracking of voice, enlargement or prominent. The Adam's apple becomes more prominent at the puberty stage. The shoulders become broader, body becomes muscular, then growth of facial hair takes place, and hair grows in the armpit and also in the pubic region. And all these changes, we cannot specify that at this particular age all the boys will develop these changes. It's not like that. It's a range of time starting from a particular period, or starting from 12 to 16 or 17 years of age. This will continue. And all these changes are taking place gradually. Not that one fine morning when you wake up, you develop all a mustache and all. It's not like that. It's a gradual process. And in some children or in some boys, it might delay, it might take time. And in some, these changes will take place, or it will start a little faster. Maybe in some of them, when they reach the age of 12 itself, all these changes become very prominent. For them, for some of them, there may not be any changes till they reach maybe 15 or 14. So we cannot generalize and say that at so and so stage this should start. So it's a range of time during which these changes will take place gradually. And in girls, the voice becomes thin, or more, they develop a more feminine voice. The hips and shoulders will become rounded, giving them a feminine shape. Then enlargement of breast, hairs grow under the armpit and in the pubic region, just like in the case of boys. So once again, we will see the points. The changes taking place in boys at the time of puberty: increase in height, cracking of voice, enlargement of Adam's apple, body becomes muscular, shoulders become broad, and growth of facial hair and growth of hair in the armpit and in the pubic region. And in case of females or girls, the voice becomes thin and the shoulders and hip become rounded, enlargement of breast and growth of hair in the armpit and pubic region. These are some of the changes taking place in girls and boys at the onset of puberty, and these changes will be developed gradually. Okay? Previous one that you can write on your own, Savio. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Next, we are going to learn about reproduction, sexual reproduction taking place in human beings. So what are the major reproductive organs in both males and females? And we'll be learning in detail about all these. Just a minute. So as I told you, several changes are taking place in both males and females.
Ma'am, your voice is low.
Okay. So in both girls and boys, so many changes are taking place at the time of puberty, even before that. So from the time we are grown, so many changes are taking place in our body. Several changes are taking place. For example, our weight increases, height increases, our milk teeth will be lost and you develop new teeth. So several changes are taking place in our body from the time of our birth till we reach puberty stage. So all those changes we can include under general process of growth. Those are the general or different changes taking place in the general growth of your body. And your body is becoming larger. So if you compare the time when you're born and by the time you reach puberty, you know that the size of your body has increased, the height has increased, your weight has increased. So all these changes can be grouped under general process of growth. But once you reach puberty stage or teenage, a whole set of new changes will appear, and that we cannot just say that it is just the enlargement of the body. So there are several changes taking place in your body from the time you're born till you reach the puberty stage. Like I told you some examples. But once you reach the teenage or the puberty stage, a whole set of new changes will be appearing. And these changes you cannot categorize under body enlargement. You cannot say that just it is the enlargement of body. Several changes are taking place in your body, not only physically, emotionally. So many changes are undergone in your body and mind. Okay, all those changes you had learned in detail in class 8. If somebody have already forgotten, you can just refer your 8th standard textbook. And these changes which are taking place at the time of puberty, some of them are common to both boys and girls. Some changes are common for both. For example, growth of hair in different body parts, that is same for boys and girls. And we also dealt with some of the changes which are different in girls and boys. And at this particular age, we become more conscious about ourselves. So till the time you reach teenagers, you will not be worried about your looks and all. But once you reach this particular age, you'll be more worried about your looks. Am I right? Till this particular age, even if your parents, when you're going out, If you are asked to comb your hair or put some talcum powder, you will be very hesitant to do all that. Your mother will be compelling, comb your hair properly or wear a good dress, but you will be least bothered. You will be very casual. But once you reach puberty stage or teenagers, nobody need to compel you. You know how to dress up smartly. You may not come in, you will spend more time in front of the mirror. You are more worried about your looks. You want new shoes. You want latest fashion dresses. Am I right? If it is wrong, you can tell me. It is not like that. We are not like that. We don't fall under that category. Girls, not only girls, both boys and girls, you become more conscious about yourself. And it is at this particular age you get attracted towards your opposite sex. Boys get attracted to girls and girls get attracted to boys. That is quite natural. And you are more worried about, more conscious about your looks. Am I right or not, children? No, you people are not like that. Special category. Yes. What is the difficulty in admitting? All are like that. All human beings are like that. The stage is like that. Okay. And these, the different about the changes also I said, some of the changes are similar, common for both boys and girls. Some of them are different for them. And these changes are taking place slowly. It might take years or months. It is not taking place within a day or a two. It will take several months. For some, it will be months. For others, it can be years. And all these changes are not happening at the same time in one person. If you take a particular person or a particular boy or a girl, all these changes are not taking place together. So these changes are taking place gradually, one by one, or some of the changes will be taking place together. It is not that one change is completed, then the other change. It is not like that. So they take its own pace. And there is no, see, it is not that at the age of 15, all these changes will develop. It's not like that. It's not taking place at a particular age. And in some people, depending upon, there are different factors. There can be hereditary reasons, hormonal factors, several factors can be there. Mute your microphone. There can be different reasons. In some of them, all these changes will be taking place early and quickly. For example, if you take the case of girls, at the puberty stage, their menstrual cycle starts. In some of them, it can start at 11 years. In some, it might be at 13. For some, it might be at 15. So we cannot generalize and say that at this particular age, the menstruation will start. So it depends. Different factors are there which will result in the onset of these changes in your body. That is what I said. In some people, it happens early and quickly. In some others, it will be very slowly. And all these changes are not getting completed altogether. It will take some time for the completion or for these changes to get completed. And for example, if you take the case of beard or formation of beard or mustache, one day, as soon as you get up from bed, you cannot see all these thick beard and mustache. Maybe here and there some scanty hairs. Slowly it gets thickened, and that is how it is taking place gradually. Same is the case with all the other changes taking place. So it takes place very slowly. It is not taking place all on a sudden. And even though these differences are, or there are some difference in the time or the pace at which these changes are taking place in people, we have different patterns of growth also. The patterns, you see, hair will be growing, height is increasing, but all are not increasing in the same way. So there can be differences in the patterns of hair growth or your height, your weight. So all that exhibit different patterns, and there are different reasons for that. As I said, hereditary reasons, then hormonal factors, the other internal factors, all that can influence the pattern of your growth. Food habits, all that plays an important role. Okay, children? And why sexual maturation? I told in the beginning that puberty stage, at the time of puberty, sexual maturity is taking place. Why sexual maturity is taking place at a particular age? Why it can't happen from the beginning? Because in the beginning or till you reach the time of puberty, all your energy sources are directed towards increasing or bringing about general growth of your body. Once the general growth of the body has taken place, now the body's energy resources will be directed towards sexual maturity. And that is why all these changes are taking place at a particular age. Okay. So when during the early stage, during your childhood stage, the body resources will be mainly focused on bringing about a growth in the general growth of your body. At that time, more importance is not given for the maturation of reproductive tissue. And later, when you reach the puberty stage, so focus will be given for the maturation of reproductive tissues. And it is at this stage your reproductive organs, the sex organs, testes in males and ovaries in females, it will develop and start producing gametes. Males or in the testes, sperms will be produced, and in the ovaries of females, eggs will be produced. All that will start once you reach the puberty stage. That is why we say that puberty stage marks the onset of sexual maturity. You are attaining, you are in the process of attaining sexual maturity at this particular age. Okay. Is that clear? And now we will be learning about the different reproductive organs found in males and females. We started with the male reproductive organs. The human male reproductive system consists of testis. IS is singular, ES plural. A pair of testes is located outside the abdominal cavity in specialized sacs known as scrotum. Scrotum, these are specialized sacs where testes are placed. And why these are placed outside the abdominal cavity? Why not inside the body? Because for the formation of sperms, you know that it is inside the testis that sperms are formed. For the sperms to be formed, a particular temperature is needed, which is lower than the 6 degrees Celsius, lower than the body temperature. Okay, so it is lower than the body temperature. To maintain this body temperature or to maintain the temperature of the testis below the body temperature, it is placed outside the abdominal cavity in specialized sacs known as scrotum or scrotal sac. So this is needed. This temperature, this lower temperature is needed for the maturation or the formation of sperms. So once again, in males, human, females, the reproductive system consists of different organs. The first one is testis. A pair of testes are present, and these testes are placed outside the abdominal cavity in scrotum. And why it is placed over there? Because to maintain the temperature lower than the body temperature, because such a low temperature is needed for the formation or the production of sperms. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So testis is placed inside the scrotum so as to maintain the temperature lower than that of the body temperature. And in the scrotum, the temperature will be between 2 to 3 degrees Celsius lower than that of the body temperature. The formation of sperms or male germ cells take place inside the testis. Sperms are tiny bodies. Yes? Previous slide?
Yes.
The formation of sperms or male germ cells takes place in the testis, or it is in the testis that the male gametes or sperms are being produced. And we will see more about sperms. Sperms are tiny bodies, microscopic structures that consist of mainly genetic material. You can see the picture of a sperm here. It's having genetic material. It's having a nucleus where the genetic material is present, and then there is a long tail. It has got a head, neck, and middle piece. Head, neck, and middle piece. Head, neck, middle piece, which will lead into a tail. Sperms are tiny structures that consist of mainly genetic material, and there is a long tail. The long tail will help them to move towards the female gametes. You know that if you female gamete cannot move, only male gametes. In the case of human beings, only male gametes can move, and female gamete or egg is immotile. It cannot move. They are non-motile structures, whereas sperms are motile, or they are capable of moving. And if you see the size, male gametes are smaller and female gamete is bigger. And the third difference is that male gamete does not contain any stored food, but egg or female gamete contains stored food. So three differences. Sperms can move with the help of the tail, whereas egg cell or female gamete is non-motile, cannot move. Second point, female gamete is bigger and male gamete is smaller. Last point, female gamete contains stored food, male gamete does not contain stored food. And with the help of the tail, they will move and they will reach the female gamete. And testis performs dual functions. One function is the production of male gametes. Second function is the production of a hormone known as testosterone. You can be asked to list the functions of testis. So the first function is production of sperms. Second function is the production of a hormone known as testosterone. And what functions do this testosterone perform? They regulate, or this particular hormone regulates the formation of sperm. Sperms are formed in the testis, and the hormone will regulate its formation. It controls the development of secondary sexual characters in males. Clear? Once again, testis produces male gametes or sperms. To facilitate the production of male gametes or sperms, testes are placed inside scrotal sac or scrotum outside the abdominal cavity, where the temperature is 2 to 3 degrees Celsius lower than the body temperature. Testis performs dual functions. First function is the production of gametes. Second function is to produce the hormone. It acts as an endocrine gland and produces hormone. Which hormone? Testosterone. And what are the functions performed by testosterone? They will regulate the formation of sperms and also control the development of secondary sexual characters. Like so many characters we mentioned, no? Growth of hair, development of sex organs, then what else? What else we learned? Change in voice. So many secondary sexual characters are developed. So all those are under the control of this particular hormone. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Now next is about vas difference. So first part of the male reproductive system we learned testis. Next is about vas difference. The sperms, we even call it a sperm duct. Vas difference is also known as sperm duct. Sperms which are formed in the testis should be transferred. It should be passed or it should be released outside. So the once these are produced, they'll be delivered through the sperm duct or vas difference. And this vas difference will unite with a tube arising from the urinary bladder. So this is vas difference. So two of them are present, two sperm ducts. We say vas differentia. So vas difference, singular. So 2 sperm ducts are present, and once sperms are produced here, and the sperms produced here will pass through this vas difference, and they will join with a tube coming from the urinary bladder. Urinary bladder, you know, it stores urine. So a tube which is emerging from the urinary bladder will merge with this vas difference, and both of them, or the common opening for both these, is urethra. So through the urethra, it's a common passage for both sperms and urine. Sperms as well as urine, both are released outside through the same opening, that is urethra. And why it is so? Because the duct which is carrying sperms from the testis will join with the tube arising from the urinary bladder, and both of them opens out by the same opening, that is urethra. And now coming to the next
Can you
part.
show the last slide?
Yes. Vas difference or sperm duct. So we learned about testis, vas difference, and now we need to learn about some of the glands associated with it, and one more structure. Okay. Vas difference, sperms produced in the testis are transferred through the vas difference, and it will unite. The vas difference, both the sperm ducts will join with a tube arising from the urinary bladder, and they open out by means of urethra. So urethra is a common passage for both sperms and urine. And some of the associated structures we will learn: seminal vesicles and prostate gland. So here you can see the prostate gland and a pair of seminal vesicles. What is its role? It can be asked. What function do they perform? It's a commonly asked question. Seminal vesicles and prostate gland, they produce some secretions. They release some secretions into vas difference, into the sperm duct, and sperms are released into the sperm duct. Sperms pass through the sperm duct. So into the vas difference, these two structures will release their secretions, and as a result, the sperms will remain in a fluid. The sperms always remain in a fluid. Why? Because the seminal vesicle and prostate gland release some secretions, and these secretions will make the sperms remain in a fluid. And the advantage of this fluid is that this fluid will provide nourishment, nutrition to the sperms, okay, and helps in the easy transport. So it helps them to transport easily. Definitely they have tail, but the presence of this fluid enables their easy transport and provides nutrition. Once again, seminal vesicles and prostate gland release their secretions into vas difference, and as a result, the sperms will remain in a fluid. And what are the advantages of having this fluid? It will provide nourishment to the sperms and enables them to move easily. And sperms, along with this fluid, you call it as semen. So semen is a name for this fluid along with the sperms. And the last part, that is penis, it's a muscular organ, and this muscular organ serves both genitourinary functions. And it is through this structure that the sperms are transferred into female genital tract, or it will help in transferring the male gametes to the site of fertilization during copulation or during mating. It is this organ, penis, that helps in transferring the sperms into the female genital tract. So function, if it is asked, you can say, or you can write, it helps in the transfer of male gametes to the site of fertilization. You know that the site of fertilization is fallopian tube. a part of female reproductive organ. So it is released into the female genital tract with the help of penis. So female reproductive system we will learn later.
Can you show?
You should know why testes are placed in scrotal sac. What are the associated structures present or glands present? What function do they perform? And the functions of each structure associated with the male reproductive system. Structure of a simple structure of a male gamete, all that you should know. Have you finished? Have you finished?
No, ma'am.
Okay, quickly take it down. And we will be starting with the revision from next class onwards. And you have to revise the topic nutrition. When you join for next biology class, already I told you for a test to revise it. Yes?
Full chapter only.
Nutrition alone. Nutrition. Okay. Nutrition in plants alone. You learn nutrition in plants from the beginning till nutrition in means human beings. So plant nutrition, that introduction, autotrophic, heterotrophic nutrition, all that you should know. The nutrition in plants completely you learn and come. So we'll be discussing questions based on that. Have you completed, Ashik?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Huh? Yes. Why the videos are off? Give me the reason. Okay. Can we summarize? We started with male reproductive system. And one of the organ or the major organs present in male reproductive system is a pair of testes. What are the functions performed by testis, Savio? Two functions performed by testis. Yes. They produce sperms and also
the control the development of secondary sex.
No. They produce a hormone. What is the name of the hormone? Testosterone. And what are the functions of this particular hormone, Badra? What are the functions performed by this hormone?
Regulating the formation of sperms.
Regulates the formation of sperm. Second function?
Then it brings about changes in appearance of boys.
Or else you can say it will bring about secondary sexual characters, or development of secondary sexual characters is due to this particular hormone. And why testes are placed outside the abdominal cavity? Why they are placed outside the abdominal cavity? Amina, why they are placed outside? Why testes are placed outside the abdominal cavity? Amina? Rose?
Because the temperature should be lower than the body temperature.
And why this low temperature is needed for the formation of what? Sperms. For forming sperms, a low temperature is needed. And what is the role of the fluid secreted by prostate gland and seminal vesicles? Arjun, what is the role of the fluid secreted by seminal vesicles and prostate gland? How do they help? Quickly.
Provide nutrition to the sperms and
Yes, Arjun? Repeat it. Repeat it again. You don't know the answer. What are the functions of the fluid released by seminal vesicles and prostate gland? Nirupama, don't listen, okay? Nirupama?
It provides nutrition and makes
It
transportation
provides
easier.
nutrition and also helps them to move.
Easier.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, children.
Man.
See you next class.